Hi, welcome to our channel. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Shauna.
And this is the Not
So Quiet Library.
So we met about 4 years ago, I'd say, 3.5 probably, and we both have been in the Navy for about 10 years.
10, yeah.
But yeah, we met, and after a couple years, we realized we both love reading, but we also read completely different books. So we attempted to read a book together, it failed.
Miserably.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, we still like to talk to each other about our books.
We do.
So we wanted to start this channel, and it's called the Not So Quiet Library because we were constantly yapping. So.
Especially at the library.
Oh yeah.
So let's get into what made us fall in love with reading.
Yeah, I think as a kid, just, like everyone starts reading somewhere. I kind of read a lot of like the Magic Tree House, and as I got older, I really fell in love with fantasy. And so that's kind of my main genre, is fantasy and a little bit of sci-fi.
Okay, for me, same thing. Started as a child with my mom taking me to these reading circles at one of our local bookstores. And then I remember just stealing her Mills and Boons novels. I'm telling my age here, but I used to sneak them into class and read them in the middle of my textbooks. And so that led to me falling in love with romance, and that's my main genre, is romance.
But yeah, so we read completely opposite genres. I've read a little bit of romance, and I've introduced her to some fantasy.
We do, however, share an equal like for the act of buying new books.
Oh yeah. Oh my god.
We love a good bookstore run.
As you could probably tell.
Right. And so we thought we'd do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 challenge to give you guys a little bit of insight of our personality through books.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1 challenge is your 5 favorite books, 4 books on your TBR, 3 books you'd recommend, 2 recent 5-star reads, and then 1 book you are currently reading. So let's get started.
Right.
So I'll start first with my 5 favorite books. My first one is Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close by Jonathan Safran. It is not a fantasy, even though I just said I mostly read fantasy, but it's more of it's definitely fiction, and it's about a little boy whose father died in the 9/11 attack, and he ends up spending, the years after his father's death trying to figure out where this key goes that he found in his father's closet. And he thought his father intentionally left it as like a scavenger hunt. So the whole book is just him meeting people. It's based in New York City. And so it's him going through all the boroughs and meeting all these people, trying to find where this key goes.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah, I won't spoil it too much, but it's more like the ending isn't great, not as you would expect with all that he went through to find where his key goes, but it's all about, as you would say, like the journey.
Okay.
So, and it's written from like a 6 or 7 year old's point of view, and so it's very interesting to read. Alright, so my next book is Eragon, really the entire series. This was my first fantasy other than Harry Potter, but I will say Eragon is what really kind of like solidified my liking of fantasy, and then anything dragons. I will probably pick up any book that has dragons in it. And just a brief summary of what this one's is about. Farm boy finds a dragon egg in the forest, ends up raising the dragon, learns that his whole kingdom used to have dragon riders, and he is now one of them after they have all supposedly disappeared.
Is that the series that fans of the book say that the movie is terrible?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you ask people if Eragon has a movie, people will just tell you no.
Gotcha.
Because it is so bad. The movie alone is not a terrible movie, but it goes so far from the story. They couldn't continue it, and it just terrible.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Alright, my next book is Red Rising. Once again, whole series, although I haven't technically finished it. But I've read 3 out of the 7. I think the 8th one is coming out. Yeah, but it has a time jump. So when I finished the 3rd book, I was like, this is a good break. Let me read some more books. Little summary about this one. I don't want to spoil too much, but I'm just going to say it kind of starts out Hunger Games-ish, where there's like different levels of a society. He starts in the lower society, which is the Reds. But it goes into so much more, and it turns into, I would say, like a Game of Thrones, but in space. But it's so much, I'm not gonna say more darker, although I've never really read Game of Thrones, I've just watched it. So, but there's some dark stuff in there. There's deep characters. The author does not play around with killing characters. I'm gonna tell you that. So I actually, on the 3rd book, someone was murdered, and I didn't read it for like 3 weeks.
Whoa.
I can't finish this with this person that he just killed. So. But, and then my 5th book, I have Perfect Match by Jodi Picoult. This, once again, it's not fantasy. This is kind of like a family drama, courtroom drama. Really sad book. Won't go too much into it, but the mom works in the court as a prosecutor, I believe, for children that have been assaulted in some way, and then her son ends up becoming one of those children. And spoiler, she kills the man that had assaulted her child, and so the whole book is her kind of defending herself and why she did that. But another spoiler, turns out she killed the wrong man. So is her defense really valid if she ended up killing the wrong man? So
might have to add that one to my TBR. It sounds very interesting.
Sorry for spoiling so much.
You're good. You're good.
Anyways, that's my top 5. What about you?
Okay, so my 5 favorite books will be, I have Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. And of course, this is a romance. And it's a second chance at love romance. It's about a couple that have recently went through a divorce because they grieved a terrible loss differently. And sometimes that can make or break a relationship. Actually, they were grieving 2 losses, spoiler alert, but they were both really close to the husband's aunt, I think, and they also went through a miscarriage during the same time. So both of those losses, dad kind of is like, oh, I'm sad, but you know, life goes on. I have 2 other children to care for. I need to move forward, while mom is mentally breaking. And because of the difference in how they're mourning and not understanding each other and meeting in the middle, they go through a divorce. But through navigating co-parenting and running a business together, they end up having a second chance at love. And so this was a really beautiful read. My second one will be You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty. I will not try to pronounce the author's name. I feel like I'm gonna butcher it, but this was so chaotic, but in a beautiful way. This one is also a romance. I want to say romantic drama, if that makes sense. And this one follows a female main character who is still grieving the death of her fiance. I want to say maybe 5 years after his passing. She just hasn't like moved on romantically in the sense of like feeling confident to go fall in love with somebody else or whatever. So she's had a bunch of hookups, but they never went anywhere. And she ends up meeting a guy, and he checks all the right boxes, except something is holding her back from opening up to him in an intimate way. And it's just not, the spark isn't there. She can't tell you what the thing is. She just knows that something isn't right. She's not feeling it. And then messily, she travels with him to go visit his hometown or his home island because he is from the Caribbean, and she ends up falling in love with his dad.
Well, that's a twist.
Mess Express, yeah.
Any of that? Wow.
Mess Express, but I did love it. It was really good. Next on the list is A Worthy Love by A.E. Valdez. A.E. Valdez could write no wrong in my eyes. I love her so much, and everything she writes is gold to me. This is another romance, and A Worthy Love literally says it in the name. It's about a female main character who has just been through so much, has been let down so much in life, and finally she's finding a love that is worthy of her having, you know, and somebody that makes her feel loved, special, whole. And I won't even get into details. Everybody has to read this. Next on the list, I have Only for the Week. I don't have a copy of the book here. I read it on my Kindle. That is a romance by Natasha Bishop, and that one was really good. I hate, and I use the word very strongly with a capital H, I hated the female main character's mom, and I think her sister needs to get her butt whooped. Like, they need to jump her outside a train station in New York in the middle of the night. Terrible, terrible, terrible. She literally was marrying her sister's ex-boyfriend.
Wow.
Why would you even do that? Why would you even be attracted to somebody that your sister was intimate with? I don't understand. And then the mother invalidating her daughter's feelings and only siding with the sister that's getting married was beyond me. And at the week of the wedding, it was a destination wedding, so the female main character ends up making a deal with the groom's best friend for a week of whatever they were doing. And when the groom finds out, he has the audacity to be upset, even though he's marrying his ex's sister. He's mad that his ex is seeing his best friend. Men and their audacity. But that's my 5. No, I'm lying. That was 4. My 5th one is Black Cake by Charmaine Wilkerson.
I think this is the first book you ever really sat down and talked to me about. I think you were reading it around the time we probably
started talking. Yeah. Yes, this was a really good read. This is a family drama similar to your Jodi Picoult book, and this one just surrounds a pair of siblings who have recently lost their mom. Their dad had already passed a couple years ago, but in the event of losing their mom, they're finding out all these secrets that they never knew about her. She passed away in California, but it so happens that she was born and raised in Jamaica and then migrated to London at first and just went through so much. She even took somebody else's identity and moved to the States using this identity, and her kids knew nothing of any of this. She was even a champion level swimmer, but never ended up pursuing that when she migrated for a lot of different reasons. And her best friend growing up moved on to become a championship swimmer, but the kids had never met her best friend because they lost touch when she moved.
Right.
And the kids ended up finding her. And so it was just this book brought a lot of feels. It brought, loss, it brought sadness, it brought happiness, it brought a bit of healing. And I think that if you are of Caribbean descent or even remotely have Caribbean family members, this is a good read for you to connect with our heritage. That's my 5. Do you want to do your 4 on your TBR?
Off with The Secret of Secrets by Dan Brown. I read a lot of Dan Brown in high school, and then I think when I joined the Navy, he only released 1 book, and so it's been like 10 years.
Wow.
Barely. And there's like nothing new, and then we're in Barnes & Noble. I'm like, man, they've redone every cover of Dan Brown's books. Like, why are they doing that? And so then I suspected they're releasing a new one. She was at Costco, saw this, and got it for me.
I did. You're welcome.
After that, I have Alchemized. This is a book based on a fan fiction that is based on Harry Potter. The fan fiction is about imagining if Harry Potter lost and Voldemort won, and then after the fact, it's like, I think Hermione and Draco become kind of like an enemies to lovers. I actually never read the fan fiction, so I might be people might judge me for that, but when they released this, I kind of liked the vibes of the story. Hi, Pippin. So I was really interested. I wanted to read this. But yeah, so it's kind of about, I believe, people with magic, and then also a little bit mix of like The Handmaid's Tale. But,
yeah. I did see a bunch of like TikToks about it, and they made me want to get into it, and then I saw how thick it was. And
yeah, it's going to be a tough read. I might have to dedicate like Christmas break for that.
For that one.
All right, up next I have Murtagh. Now this is a addition to the Aragorn series. It's kind of like a side story about this character, and kind of same thing. Like, I read these in high school years gone by, and he's releasing more books. So he released this one. I believe there's going to be a second one of this. I still have not read it, but I'm very excited to get into this one. And then up next is Catabasis by R. Kwong. She is a new author that honestly was a challenge to me. I read Babel by her, and it honestly like opened my eyes to a different world of fantasy, because it was, I don't know how to say it, it was a lot more smarter, if that makes sense.
Okay.
And it just has the themes are deep. You really have to read into just not only the whole plot, but the themes within each character and like what's going on. But I'll say for Babel, it was kind of magicians using language as magic. And then obviously there's kind of the play into the story of Babel in the Bible about the languages and how he scattered everyone and whatnot. This one is a theme based on the 7 levels of hell. And then there's magicians again. But yeah, I just really loved her books. So I can't wait to read that one.
I want to say that the
edging is
so pretty. It's gorgeous, actually.
I don't know if you can see it. Honestly, I love getting.
I just noticed that you have really good books with these straight edges. All right, so my 4 on my TBR are 7 Days in June by Tia Williams, and this is a romance. It's been on my TBR for about 1.5 years. I just keep adding to it, so I've never gotten around to it. I have The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I think this one is about an actress, and it's set back in the 80s, I think. And obviously her 7 husbands, and I don't know what happened. We'll see when we read it.
I might read that.
I did hear it was a really good book. My next one is People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. I've heard a lot about Emily Henry. I've heard that like all her books are really good, and also there's like maybe 2 or 3 of her books that are coming out to be movies, and for some reason I love reading books before the movies come out, so I threw this one on my TBR so I could get through it before the movie comes out in 2026, I believe. And then my next one is One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig, and this was a recommendation by Rachel. So can't wait to get into it. This one is thriller, horror.
It's fantasy, but not like big world fantasy.
Right.
And there's romance too.
Yes. And so when she told me about this one, she gave me a little bit of insight. I thought it was something that I would like to read, so it's on my TBR.
So now we can do 3 books we would recommend?
Yes.
Cool. Alright, I'm going to start. The first book I would always recommend is One Dark Window. I won't talk about it because I don't want to spoil anything to you, but I will say the reason I tend to recommend it and why I recommend it to you is because it's fantasy, but it's small world. Because a lot of fantasy tends to have big world building, lots of characters and like races and different creatures. And even like magic systems.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons it's so hard for me to get through fantasy, because it was like remembering a lot. I was struggling a little bit with it.
But and this one does have a magic system, but it's kind of simpler. And honestly, even if you don't fully understand it, because I don't even think I fully understood it the first time around. So, but I think you're gonna really enjoy it. And obviously the romance in it. The next one is the Southerners Book Club Guide to Slaying Vampires. I don't have a physical book, read it on my Kindle. So this is by Grady Hendrix, who's a new author I've started reading, and he does horror. But they're kind of like lighthearted horror, but they still have pretty scary scenes in them.
Okay.
But this one's about a bunch of moms in a book club, and they're reading like silly, goofy, like werewolf books and vampire books. And one of the moms starts to suspect her neighbor is a vampire, and everyone, especially the husbands, are gaslighting her. And that was one of the things I said when I finished the book. I'm like, what's worse, vampires or gaslighting husbands? Because it was, the amount of gaslighting in that book was insane. And how much she had to go through to prove this vampire in her town. And then third is Red Rising, which I did already talk about, but I will always recommend this book.
Yes.
So, all right, you want to do yours next?
Yes. So my 3 that I will recommend, they're also all on my Kindle, but it will be Real by Kennedy Ryan. That's a romance, and it's a, I don't want to say enemies to lovers. It's more of like a forbidden love kind of thing, where it's a producer and then his main actress.
Okay.
And so, you know, that work dynamic, they're not supposed to be messing with each other, especially because this producer already had a scandal.
Oh, wow.
Because he was already dating another female actress from a project prior, and because he didn't want to marry her, or I think he wasn't ready to commit, they broke up, and she got him fired from the project and like blew him up in the tabloids and stuff. And so, which was totally wrong of her. She painted a really bad picture of him for no reason. He didn't do anything to her, and so it was kind of like, you know, tainted reputation.
And
so he's
careful.
Yeah, so he's trying to be careful, but then like organically he falls head over heels for this girl. And what I like about this book also, and something I do like about Kennedy Ryan, because I mentioned one of her books before, is that she tends to write about topics that you don't typically see, or let me not say topics, but she'll add elements into her main characters that you don't typically see people writing about or educating you on. And so the book I mentioned before, you know, it dealt with depression, and it dealt with like how depression can affect a family, kids, divorce, all that stuff. And then in this book, Real, she kind of focuses on the female main character actually having lupus.
Okay.
And so, you know, she writes about stuff like this, where you don't really hear about lupus in the book world. And like, it actually taught me some things I didn't know about the autoimmune disease. And then my next one will be The Wedding People by Alison Espach. That one was a book club pick, and I was skeptical about it because it was just one of those books where the name didn't really stick out to me. The cover didn't stick out to me. I've never heard of this book before, but it was so surprising. It was really good. I don't know what I would categorize this one as.
Yeah.
I want to say, I would just say maybe like family drama or whatever, but it's a recently divorced professor who decides that she has nothing else to live for. You know, she's battling depression, and she takes a trip one day randomly. She just gets up one morning and just travels to this hotel. No bags, no luggage, no anything. And she had to fly there, but she just gets on a plane and just goes with whatever she was wearing on.
Wow.
Because she was planning to have an amazing dinner. Spoiler alert, first of all. She's planning to have an amazing dinner, have a great night, go touch the ocean, and then, you know. And she bumps into these wedding people, these people that are at this resort for a wedding, and they literally changed her entire life and changes her decision. And it was a feel-good kind of book with a little bit of romance, no spiciness, just a little twinge of romance. And then my third one would be Terms and Conditions by Lauren Asher. Pure smut. Loved it. I have nothing else to say.
I think I've heard about this one, but I don't know if I've
Love it.
Love it. Just straight to the point.
Yep. All right, let's do your 2 most recent 5-star reads.
All right, so for 2 books that I've recently 5-starred, I have
every book
every book I read 5-star. I'm getting better at it, but I'm just, you know, if I like the book, then I finished it and then I 5-star it. But this one, so this is the 3rd book to the Red Rising series, which I've talked about twice already. But this one I 5-starred. Very easy. This was probably the best ending to a book I have ever read. Lots of twists and turns. And my favorite thing, I don't want to spoil too much, so the main character is definitely a unreliable narrator.
Okay.
So he'll like lie to you as the reader. And so you're reading from his point of view, but he leaves out an entire plan. And you're going through this plan in which they're fooling the other side, but he's also fooling you.
That would stress me out.
This is the one I stopped reading for 3 weeks.
That would stress me out.
I thought he had, you know, got rid of one of the main characters. And I was so upset. I was like, I can't keep reading this.
But that's so good, though. I feel like that keeps you on your toes, you know?
It did. I was happy when I picked it up. I'm not going to spoil too much again, but it was an amazing ending.
Good.
But yeah, easy 5 stars. And then second, I have My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. This is the same author I talked about before with the book club Vampire Hunters.
Okay.
So this one is kind of like a play on the exorcism, but it's your best friend's exorcism. So like that one was more for like the moms, the book club. This is now like 2 best friends in high school. And it kind of just looks like, you know, oh, they're teenagers, they're going through, you know, the teenage phase, but in reality, she's actually possessed by a demon. And so it takes her very close friend to realize this and to actually take the effort to help her.
Wow.
But it's still scary. Like I was telling her, this is the first time I've been reading and like, oh my goodness, like I'm actually checking the corners because I've read like a lot of Stephen King, but he's dark and he's got some pretty gruesome and like cringy things in his novels, but I feel like this one I was actually just kind of like looking around. So this actually inspired me to read another book, which I'll talk about later. But yeah, this was a 5-star. I also like his writing style. I like his characters, and even though it's still scary and there's dark scenes, it's also pretty lighthearted and there's a lot of funny scenes. And I feel like I could really relate. I mean, we're like best friends, and then these 2 best friends going through some crazy stuff. All right, and then next we have your
All right, so for my 2 recent 5-star reads, I don't have physical copies of them, but one is Sweetness in the Skin by Ishi Robinson. That one was a book talk recommendation. I think I read that one in June when it was like Read Caribbean month, and that's based and set in Jamaica, and it follows a teenage girl who lives in a, like, not, I don't want to use the word poor, but in a lower class area, and she lives with her mom, her aunt, and her grandma. Her mom isn't the best version of a mom. She kind of just gave birth to her, and that's it. And her aunt and grandma are the ones doing the raising and teaching and making sure she's getting a proper education and all the hard work that goes behind bringing up a child. But somehow the mom wants to reap the rewards of this. She wouldn't mind if her daughter dropped out of high school to go earn money so she could come give it to her. Like that kind of dynamic. And it follows her fighting tooth and nail to make her dreams come true, and defying like all the obstacles that are like thrown at her. It was a really good read for me. My second 5-star read is Demon's Dream by Ellie Kaysen. That book is chef's kiss. Smut at every turn. It was so lovely. I can't wait for there to be an audio version. I will definitely listen to it. I will read it all over again. I would give anything to be able to read this book for the first time again. Yep.
Sounds like a good book.
It was good. And then now we'll do our current read.
My one book I'm currently reading is The Exorcist. I'm about a little more than halfway through. I picked this up after reading my best friend's Exorcism. I honestly have never seen the movie. I'm a big horror fan, so I'm surprised I haven't seen it, but I do plan on watching it after reading it. Just a little summary. It's like a single mom. She's an actress. She's got a daughter that's about 13, I think, 12. No, I think she turns 12. And in short, her daughter slowly starts to show signs of possession. And I tell you, it has taken 240 pages for them to even start to consider that it's a possession. And I'm telling you, like, the amount of stuff I'm reading, they're like, oh, I think it's this disorder. I'm like, this is clearly more than just a psychiatric or like a sickness. But otherwise, it is very good. I absolutely love this author's writing style. It's very entertaining, and his use of like metaphors is really good. His characters are really good, and just like the little twists and turns are pretty good, even though it's like obvious kind of that she's possessed. But there's other little like subplots in there, and you read from the priest's point of view a little bit, and then you read from like the mom's point of view, and they kind of collide, near the middle when they start to realize that she is possessed. But yeah, it is pretty scary. It's very dark. There's some scenes in there that were darker than I thought, so that was, maybe they had a warning. I don't think they did, but maybe they should put a little warning in there. So, but yeah, this will probably be a 5-star read.
Okay. I will say I did see the movie, but it was so long ago that I don't remember it. So maybe I'll watch it with you.
Okay, yeah. I have seen like clippets of it, so I can but I'm pretty excited to see the full movie. Alright. What's your current read? My current read is The Housemaid is Watching by Frida McFadden. And this is book 3 in order of the series, but it's technically the 4th book, because there was just a little short story book that goes in between book 2 and book 3, which I already read. It's in the series. So the first book was The Housemaid. The second book is The Housemaid's Secret. That short story I mentioned is The Housemaid's Wedding. And then now The Housemaid is Watching. And the entire series follows
Millie, and in book 1, she is hired as a housemaid. She has a past, and that past has, deterred her from being able to acquire a job. But for some reason, this employer sees that past as a plus in her plot and hires her as a housemaid. And everything that unfolds is just the twists and turns. I had like 5 plot twists in book 1. There was like 7 plot twists in book 2. And it goes on. I will say though that Millie, God damn it, girl. She is so dense. Like, girl, do you learn nothing? She has made me curse in every single book I've read so far, but it's really good. Like, it's been really good. I'm excited to finish the series, and I've been working through these pretty quickly. That's how I know that it's like really good, because I'm not dragging through it. I think I started the first book on the 20th of October, and I'm already on the 4th one.
Damn.
So yeah, I finished that 3rd short book. I started it yesterday and finished it last night before going to bed.
Nice.
So it was really good. Also, The Housemaid is being made into a movie, and it comes out in December, I think. So I'm really excited for it.
Oh, I remember seeing the previews.
Yeah, because it had been on my TBR for quite some time, and I didn't get around to reading it. And then when I realized the movie was gonna be out soon, I was like, oh, I gotta get on my Zoom and get to it. And
it's crazy how longer TBRs are, and then a movie or show coming out really like pushes you.
Yes.
To
girl,
change it or hop on another one.
I've literally had books on my. I started doing a TBR first on Amazon, and then I moved it over to Goodreads, and then I moved over to Fable, and I literally had books that were on my 2022 TBR that's still on there now in 25, and I still haven't read them. Yeah.
It's but that's the 5 4 3 2 1 challenge. Hopefully you got to know us a little bit and what we like to read.
Yes.
And
thank you for watching.
Thank you.